My name is Michael C. Rupert. I'm a former Los Angeles police officer. Just 2 days ago, I was asked by David DeGraw, one of the original organizers of Occupy Wall Street, who was still on the scene in Manhattan, to make a video speaking to all police officers in every city and country in the world who had been ordered to suppress, harass, and brutalize our peaceful, unarmed protests. We were in shock over what we'd just seen coming out of Melbourne. Police attacks on the Occupy Together movement are intensifying all over the world. I don't know how I could possibly phrase it or say it better than Marine Corps Sergeant Shamar Thomas did in Times Square last week. I want all of you police officers out there to know that Shamar Thomas is not a fluke and he is not an aberration. He is part of a warrior class worldwide of men and women who have gone into harm's way and honorably acquitted themselves in battle while carrying the weight of the knowledge that they fought in unjust wars, wars which have inflicted great suffering on innocent civilians. There are many more Shamar Thomases out there than you can possibly know.
I've been to Iraq 14 months for my people. You come over here and hurt them. They don't have guns. They don't have guns. How do you sleep at night? There is no honor in this. There is no honor in this. This is America. Why are y'all treating people like this? Why are y'all gearing up like this is war? This is not war. Let's go, folks. We can. This is not war.
Throughout the confrontation, which showed the NYPD backing down in impotent paralysis, it was plainly evident that several NYPD officers approached to check Sergeant Thomas's decorations. Those decorations were earned and awarded based upon undeniable service in the face of lethal danger in combat. Those ribbons authenticated Sergeant Thomas's right and authority to address the NYPD as a warrior, with a warrior's honor and, most importantly, with a warrior's power. Just as Sergeant Thomas's ribbons were his authenticators of having both the right and the authority to speak to the NYPD as a warrior, I will now show you, all police officers in the world, my authenticators, so that all of you may know that I have the right to speak to you with that same authority. I served with the Los Angeles Police Department for approximately 8.5 years. 2.5 of those were as a college intern. I went through the LAPD Academy after graduating from UCLA in 1973 and was valedictorian for 3 classes of graduating recruits. I did street time on the streets in South Central Los Angeles, in the district with the highest per capita crime rate in the city, a place that is still today known as the jungle. Several times in those years I was injured in hand-to-hand combat. In the 1970s, all we had to control events were our minds, our bodies, our wits, a baton, and our 6-shooters. The only radios available were in the police cars. We had no pepper spray, we had no tasers, no fancy riot gear, no shields. During my time on the street, I worked assignments in patrol, narcotics, and detectives. I became a training officer to break new police officers in on the street after they had just come out of the academy. I received 13 citations and 3 commendations for bravery, investigations, tactical command skills, and attention to duty. I was an expert pistol shot. During the course of my 5 years as a police officer, I was involved in 2 shootings. One of those was in direct response to someone trying to take my life. The other was when a drug dealer turned 2 attack dogs loose on my partner. I killed the dogs and arrested the dealer. I'm proud to say that I have never taken a human life. In the shooting where my life was in danger, my bullet bounced off the windshield of the man trying to run me down. There are, however, 2 significant times that I will always remember when I could have lawfully, and many would say justly, taken a human life, and I think they're my proudest memories of being a police officer. Had I taken those lives when I could have, doors would have opened to me to some of the most sought-after positions in the police department. Every cop knows it's a badge of honor to have taken a life in a quote-unquote good shooting. And I think that almost every young cop craves the opportunity to be tested and found true. It is a warrior's natural and healthy instinct and desire to be tested and found worthy. In one case, in a response to an armed robbery alarm at a closed supermarket, I observed a man crouched with a gun inside the front window of the darkened store. Only about 3 feet and a sheet of plate glass separated me from the man as he crouched behind the dog food and the charcoal briquettes along the front window. He did not respond to my commands to stand up or to drop the weapon. He could hear me yelling at him, "Drop the gun," but he did not comply. He stood up and turned towards me with the gun in his hand. It turns out he was the store manager, slightly intoxicated, who thought he heard a noise, so he triggered the alarm. He was in street clothes, and he had no identifying badges. In another instance, a young black man suspected of burglary turned on me in a dark alley with a gun in his hands, fully intending to shoot me. I caught his hand from behind as he turned, and I bear-hugged it right back into his belly. I had the strength to hold his arms immobile, and my partner and I disarmed him, and we arrested him. He was 18 years old. Why didn't I shoot? Because I didn't have to. This is one of the most basic codes of honor any true warrior observes. You don't use force unless you have to, and then you use only what is necessary to control the situation, and then you stop. That is the honor of a true warrior, and this honor brings with it the power that Shamar Thomas had to shut down 30 aggressive, looking-for-a-fight NYPD cops. It is that honor which gave me the power to shut down a CIA director at a public hearing in 1996 and cause the crowd to erupt in cheers.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
It is that honor which gave me the power to hold your attention in the 2009 documentary from Blue Mark Films called Collapse.
We live in an infinite growth paradigm, which requires growth forever. It's not that Bernie Madoff was a pyramid scheme or Stanford was a pyramid scheme. The whole economy is a pyramid scheme. The whole global economy cannot be sustained. It requires infinite growth. But infinite growth collides with finite energy.
There are some more real warriors I would like to introduce you to before I deliver a message to every police officer in the world who is being trained, conditioned, and encouraged to crush the Occupy Together movement. A warrior's strength originates with his or her honor. Not every warrior with great honor has suffered in battle, for battle is always the real warrior's last resort. In some ways, it is also a measure of his failure rather than his success. Take, for example, S. Brian Wilson. Brian was an anti-nuclear protester who laid down across railroad tracks to prevent a shipment of nuclear weapons from going out. He was run over by a slow-moving train which refused to stop, knew he was there, and both of his legs were amputated. I spent several hours with Brian at an anti-war rally in San Francisco in 2003. Or take the case of Dennis Morisseau, the first American military officer to refuse to be deployed to Vietnam in an illegal and unjust war. Denny stood his ground and defeated the U.S. government, which was trying to sentence him to federal prison for refusing to fight in an illegal war. Over the years, I've met dozens of warriors like this, and I could, if I wanted, provide you with many hours of stories about acts of courage, honor, and heroism that have left me feeling woefully inadequate by comparison over the years. But what I want to do is to tell you about the one warrior who taught me more than any other, and who serves as a beacon for all of us in these darkest of days.